Yet again, the pendulum swung in this England-India series, all in the matter of a day. The first of this fourth test match at Southampton. This is ESPN Cricinfo Match Day. I am Ranu Kapoor, and in a little while, we'll have a look back at how the day went with Ajit Agarkar and Nick Compton. Quick reminder of how things unfolded in case you missed part of the action. The story starts with Joe Root winning the toss and deciding to bat first at 56 for 4 at lunch. He thought India would be very happy with that decision, but Sam Curran back in the side, back among runs, crucial runs at the bottom of the order, ensuring some rare guard action courtesy himself, the returning Moeen Ali and Stuart Broad, taking England to a slightly respectable 2-4-6. Bumrah the pick of the bowlers, and in response, India's openers have managed to bat out the 4 overs they had to. So that's where we stand. Ajit and Nick all set to dissect day one. Would you take that if you told Virat Kohli at the start of the day that he'd keep England to 2-4-6?
Probably, but not at 86 for 6. I mean, they were at that stage. You think, especially with the way the Indian bowlers were bowling at that point, with most of the cream of the England batting gone, you would expect them to, or you would have expected them to restrict them. But Sam Curran, I mean, you know, a real star in the making for England. Just not just the way he batted, but just the composure, the temperament for someone so young, someone so early in his career, made it look really easy. I mean, just like Bumrah was star for it, star for the day for India, so was Curran, which is why England are where they are with a slight chance in this test match now.
It's a young man's game, this test cricket. Nick Compton, 81 with Moeen Ali, then 63 with Stuart Broad. Would England feel they've got out of jail, or is 2-4-6 still well below par on the evidence that you've seen from this first day pitch at Southampton?
Yeah, fantastic fight back from England, and I think something they'll be quite proud of. At least it keeps them in the game, it gives them something competitive, but I think overall we know that England's middle to lower order have a lot of batting in them. They've played well for a number of years now, so it's not really the lower order that we're worried about. I think Sam Curran, though, showing a huge amount of maturity beyond his years, and I think there's no doubt that the way he played, and I totally agree with Ajit there, just the maturity, the calmness, really giving England an opportunity. I still think below par. It's a good wicket. I think it'll become better. I think tomorrow will be great for batting. I think the ball will still do something in the air, but I think after that initial 40 overs, it'll be really hard work for the England bowlers.
Would I be getting ahead of myself to suggest Sam Curran could solve the topper order problems for England?
Yeah, you might be right, to be honest. Let's not speak too early. I think there's nothing like talking a young player up too early. He's got a huge amount of potential. He has the technique. He's got a nice little technique, and I think he's somebody that you could definitely see moving up the order. I think even now he's a batsman who bowls, but I think in England we like to sort of talk our players up too much and then suddenly they don't perform. He's young, he's developing, but I think definitely on the basis of his technique, the maturity, his temperament, who knows, I think you could get him up to open the batting soon.
Okay, let's get some of Nick's thoughts from earlier that the ball will do a bit, and we're surprised, are we, to see the ball do as much for as long as we have?
Not really. I mean, from what evidence we saw with the numbers at the start of today, it suggests that the seam bowlers have, I mean, they'll generally thrive in England, but even at this ground, they have done well, and in recent time especially. So, not really. I think it's not a quick pitch, so it's giving batsmen time, a little bit more time to adjust. Some of the nicks haven't really carried to the slips, which then helps the batsman, But as long as there's movement, Anderson will still be handy. I think perhaps England, having 4 overs, tried too hard to get that wicket, understandably so. But tomorrow, I think that it'll be a different challenge for India.
While England are very good with their lower order and having that little rear guard action towards the end, happened with Curran in the first test, happened with Wokes in the second test, it's happened again in this series. What can India do to at least fix that thing, to let the opposition off at 80 for 6, then getting another 160 runs or so? Anything that you found India just loose towards the end of the day?
No, I don't think so. I think England were really good. Both Moeen Ali and Sam Curran perhaps found themselves at a stage where the ball wasn't doing as much. The bowlers had tired a little bit. Shouldn't be an excuse. I mean, having got the cream out, you want to get that one extra wicket, and they wouldn't have got anywhere close to the score that they did. But those two batted really well, and you've got to give them credit. I don't think Indians did too much wrong. Maybe Hardik Pandya as a support fourth bowler at that stage, perhaps could have bowled him. But you're picking on things. I think both England batsmen batted well at that stage, and I think India tried well. And even then, Shami, Bumrah, both of them were really good. Just couldn't find that wicket that they needed.
I mean, we had the chat at tea, and I think both of you said we'd rather have, or at least you definitely said you'd rather have both fast bowlers after tea. We saw Ashwin immediately after tea. Nick, as if you were Sam Curran and Moeen Ali, tea time, Ajit said the break had come at the right time for India. They would have looked to clean things up then. When you came back and you saw Ashwin take up one, would you have been a little relieved?
Yeah, I would have done, because they had a couple of sweepers out on either boundary. Just gives you a bit of a chance to get yourself in. You know, definitely the threat was in the seam. So in some ways it's quite a nice opportunity to come out to spin. The ball wasn't really turning. I think Sam Curran played him very well off the back foot. They managed to get a few singles into the leg side, which managed to rotate the strike, and that's always something that's nice to do, particularly when you're working so hard against a quality seam attack. So I was surprised at that, and I thought the only thing that you could probably pick out was they perhaps bowled a little bit too wide to Sam Curran. I was watching on TV that it's particularly in the first half of the morning, they bowled quite a full length. And yes, Sam Curran played very well and maybe forced their length back a little bit, but they probably bowled a little bit short and wide if we're being hypercritical. Gave them a little bit too much of opportunity to score on the offside, and of course Sam was very adept there and played some beautiful shots.
I mean, Ashwin would like to think of him as the kind of bowler who can at least clean up, the lower order. But when he comes out, man of 300 plus wickets, deep mid-on first off, would you be a bit surprised?
Strange one. Yeah. I mean, at that stage, I don't think the English batsmen were trying to go after him or were unlikely to.
Often we saw them just take the single.
And even if they did try to take that chance, you wouldn't mind that as a bowler, because one, you're trying to hit a good bowler against whatever little turn there is, and you're already 6 down at that stage. So the batsman's going to think twice before they try. And anyway, Moeen stepped out and hit him for a 6 straight over his head. So yeah, a little bit surprised. I just thought it gave them a little bit of a breather from one end, because there's not enough help in the surface for a spinner at this stage of the innings. I mean, a poor shot from, or a loose shot from Moeen kind of gave India that wicket. Otherwise, they would have been looking for a few more runs.
Yeah, I mean, 8 wickets still for the seamers, so it was a very good day for the seam bowlers for India. Amongst those 246 runs, there were 34 extras, 23 of those byes, many of those 23 harsh on Rishabh Pant, who's getting a real baptism by fire in his second test in English conditions. How do you grade Rishabh Pant? 23 byes don't look good, but that doesn't tell the story.
Yeah, I mean, apart from one, I think down the leg against Ashwin to Anderson, where it cost only a single. I think in general, I mean, a lot of them were close to being called a wide. You can understand why the umpire didn't, because it's test cricket, but really harsh. I mean, two of Rishabh Pant wouldn't have got to some of those balls. So yeah, it's harsh on him, but otherwise he's been really good, especially with the amount we saw towards the end of the day as well. I mean, Butler missed one. Yeah. Which was straight to him. How much the ball's sort of wobbling after it passes the stump. So not easy for a young keeper.
It's a hard place to keep wicket, but if this is one of those where 240, 250 and roundabouts is where the scores end up, Nick, in the first innings, then 34 extras tends to be quite handy.
Yeah, it does tend to be handy. I felt sorry for the keeper. I was actually thinking of Johnny Bairstow in the outfield as they come out. He must be very grateful that he's actually not keeping. I know he's very annoyed not to carry the gloves into this game, but watching the seam movement and the ball move around and wobble, I mean, what a nightmare for a wicketkeeper. So I think Johnny Bairstow should count himself lucky that Jos Buttler's got his hands full over the next day. But look, if the ball keeps moving and seaming around, I think 240 could be competitive. I have a feeling that India will fare better in the first 40 overs tomorrow morning. England need to obviously make inroads, but I think if they can get through that with 2 wickets down, 3 wickets down, they can perhaps go past England and really get a good score. I've played at the Rose Bowl a few times, the Ageas Bowl, and it's a good place to bat. I think once you get in, it's very even paced. It's not particularly quick, and it doesn't do a huge amount of spin, perhaps till the last day. So I think India want to work really hard in that first session.
So evidence to suggest that it could be a better day or a good day to bat on day 2?
Yeah, I think so. I think it might be a better day to bat. I think the initial fresh wicket threat that you get in the first morning of a 5-day test probably won't be there. Sure, it'll swing around early on. Batsmen will have to be watchful, as they were this evening. But I think if they can get through that initial period of Anderson, maybe a little bit of Curran, left armour swinging it back in will be hard work. But I think if they can get through that, the pace, England don't have any out-and-out quick bowling. So I think once they get the pace of it, it'll be quite hard work. And I think they're going to have to change the bowlers around. I think, Root's got his work cut out with the spinners. When does he bring Moeen Ali in? When does he bring Rashid? Will he use them to try and break a wicket? It'll be a tough, interesting day of cricket tomorrow.
That's a point you made as well regarding the type of fast bowlers both teams have. Maybe this 240 look a lot better once India have batted, because the way Shami, Ishant and Bumrah bowled, or at least Shami and Bumrah, you saw Pant take a few, really zip. May not see that kind of relentless pace that troubles India.
Yeah, I think it's sometimes more the zip. I think we saw England bowl in those first 2 tests and there was a lot more zip off the surface. Even though, like Nick said, they don't have an out-and-out quick. Ben Stokes, when he gets it going, can be that kind of guy. Yeah. Whether he bowls consistently quick, we don't know.
Stuart Broad, but they get into these rhythms and then they get out of it.
Yeah, exactly. But I still expect England to pose a real challenge for India. First thing in the morning, I think India need to get through that first hour or so, or maybe a little bit more when the ball is nice and new. If they do that, it'll obviously, like any test match, on the second day you'd expect the conditions to improve. They'll find life a lot easier, but I still expect England to bowl well tomorrow.
Yeah, so the kind of pitch, Nick, like you're saying, if you stay a little while, get in there, might get easier to bat. 17 for Cook, 23 Stokes, 21 Butler, but amongst all those, Moeen Ali, who looked the best at 40, that shot and Ashwin's interesting celebration almost seems to suggest he signalled at the analyst that this is what they planned for Moeen Ali. Bizarre mid-wicket, we don't know what that guy was doing there, but he turned out to be useful. But Moeen Ali, would you be kicking yourself? You were Moeen Ali, 40 of 85, looking good in a comeback game and playing that shot at that stage?
Yeah, absolutely. I was quite surprised, maybe a little bit shocked. I thought he played so well. They seem to have a really good relationship and building a great partnership. They seem to be, their temperament was excellent. They were calm, they left well. Yes, they bowled some great balls, the Indians, but they didn't seem phased by the play and miss. And it seemed like they were going on quite nicely. I was surprised at that shot. It just seemed out of character at the time. Perhaps he just pushed the button a little bit earlier and could easily have got a 50, 60, 70 and maybe matched Curran. And who knows, England may have got up to 300. Look, I think you take the good with the bad. I think he got 40. It's a good welcome return to the team. And it's nice to see Moeen Ali playing in a way that we know he can. He's a top classy batsman. And England have missed his runs and, of course, his wickets. But I think on the subject of the game, it's very easy to talk about the first day. India have bowled very well. But until England have bowled on this wicket, until India have batted, it's very hard to say whether it's all doom and gloom at the moment. I think England will want to come out early tomorrow morning and prove that it's a tough place to bat, particularly early on.
Yeah, well, those are thoughts we'll get at the head start of day 2 too. But that stage, 6 for 160 is also tight, but nothing seems to be going. I mean, England were comfortable at that stage.
Yeah, I suppose it's the time of the day. The ball's a lot softer. I think Bumrah was the only guy at that stage who looked like, still being the threat that he was throughout the course.
And he was in the field when he ran and took that standing at mid-wicket for the off-spinner.
Yeah, just had an incredible day again. In such a short span or short test career, he's starting to become the spearhead.
And this is a good day for India's bowlers. Let's cap it at that. Not for the first time on
not,
this long
Not at all, actually. I mean, apart from that Lord's test, that also, when you're defending a lowish total, it's always
it's
harder.
The batsman's fault,
Yeah, it always is. Sorry, Nick. But no, they've bowled well throughout the series, and today was another example of that.
Very well. Thank you very much. Ajit Agarkar, Nick Compton, get a bit of a breather, and we'll be back to look ahead to day 2 on ESPN Cricinfo Matchday, for which we hope to have your company. What a fascinating start to this 4th test. This series already so nicely poised, and after losing the toss, Virat Kohli having England dismissed for 2 for 6, he'd take that. We'll see you again for our pre-show tomorrow.